Welcome again to FPA 209 Public Administration and Public Relations. The topic continues with the theories of mass communication, now in framing theory. This is Professor Raymond S. Macatangga, FPA student of Taguig City University, and currently the Dean of the College of Computer Studies at Our Lady of Fatima University, holding the rank of Professor 3. Let's go with the discussion about framing theory. The concept of framing was first posited by Gregory Bateson in 1972. He defined psychological frames as a spatial temporary bounding of set interactive messages that operates as a form of metacommunication, as mentioned by Halehan in 2008. Framing describes the practice of thinking about news items and story contents within the familiar context. Framing is related to the agenda setting tradition, but expands the research by focusing on the essence of the issues at hand rather than on a particular topic. The basis of framing theory is that the media focuses attention on a certain events and places them within a field of meaning, which was from the mass communication theory online in 2017. The theory was first put forth by Goffman in 1974 under the title Frame Analysis. He put forth people interpret what is going on around their world through their primary framework. This framework is regarded as the primary as it is taken for granted by the user. Its usefulness as a framework does not depend on any other frameworks. In the essence, framing theory suggests that how something is presented to the audience, which is called the frame, influences the choices people make about how to process the information. Frames are abstractions that work to organize or structure the message of its meaning. The most common use of frames is in the terms of the frame in the news or media places on the information they convey. They are thought to influence the perception of the news by the audience. In this way, it could be construed as a form of second level agenda setting. They not tell the audience what to think about, but also how to think about the issue. Goffman in 1974 states that there are two distinctions within primary frameworks. Both play the role of helping individuals interpret data so that their experiences can be understood in a wider social context. The difference between the two is functional. Framing techniques, according to Verhulst and Saar in 1996, mentioned the following: metaphor, to frame a conceptual idea through comparison to something else, while stories or myths and legends, to frame a topic via narrative in a vivid, memorable way. On the other hand, tradition, which involves rituals and ceremonies, the cultural mores that imbued the significance in the mundane, closely tied to artifacts. Slogan, jargon, and catchphrase is to frame an object with a catchy phrase to make it more memorable and relatable, while artifact are objects with intrinsic symbolic value, a visual cultural phenomenon that holds more meaning than the object itself. Contrast, to describe an object in terms of what it is not. Spin, on the other hand, is to present a concept in which a ways as to convey a value judgment, whether it's positive or negative, that might not be immediately apparent, to create an inherent bias by definition. Let's go with the types of frames. Specific, for instance, is reporting the Asian tsunami was linked to consequences. How many further deaths could it be if aid was not received, and issues of responsibility? This could also be related to the current COVID situation. What would be the consequences of not having the vaccines on time? While generic, for example, conflict and game of politics as opposed to frames of values. Let's go to the levels of framing. Frame in communication consists of communication from different actors, sources of the news that could be positive or negative. Framing in thought consists of mental representation, interpretation, simplification, and if not, manipulation of reality. Framing is in many ways tied very closely to agenda setting theory. Both focus on how media draws the public's eye to specific topics. In this way, they set the agenda. But framing takes this a step further in the way in which the news is presented, creates a frame for for that information. This is usually a conscious choice by journalists. In this case, a frame refers to the way media as gatekeepers organize and present the ideas, events, topics, and cover. Framing is the way of communication source defines and constructs any piece of communicated information. Framing is an unavoidable part of human communication. We all bring our own frames to our communication. In summary, framing focuses on how media draws the public's eye to a specific topic, setting agenda, and takes it further to create a frame through which the audience will comprehend such information. Creating frames for stories is commonly a mindful choice by sources, journalists, and or editors. It justifies the media as gatekeepers who mindfully collect, select, and organize and present the ideas, events, topics they cover, which is part of mass communication theory online in 2017. Thank you for listening. This is my reference for this topic. I hope that you enjoyed my topic. Thank you.